Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Kind of a drizzly little day here. It's not coming down too bad, but we're getting some mist. It's Neil Smith, Dandy DJ. How you doing? And it's time for another episode of the Dandy DJ Laboratories. And as you can see, well, my carts aren't loaded because I've been parking my van in because it's stormy season. I got my van out today though, and this is how I normally store all my stuff here. Right along the wall so I can pull the van in, but I'm set up for a little workshop today. This year my project is making the things I have appear better, be more functional, and just put a polish on what I have. Instead of buying new stuff and all that, I'm just figured I'm going to hold off this year and just really tackle any little problem areas I have. And today, my ugly spot is how I mount my microphone receivers, which I use for both ceremony and reception when doing a wedding. And this is it. This is my Audio Technica System 10. I just don't really have a good mounting system for it. I'm going to get this thing mounted and looking prettier. Get rid of that altogether, and I'm going to put it on a base, and I'm going to use some on a flat base where these things will all live, and they're going to be a lot prettier and a lot flatter and a lot cleaner. They're going to be attached with industrial strength Velcro, and this color doesn't matter. I picked this cutting board up at the dollar store. I wanted something light, but yet that could hold that well. The color doesn't matter because I'm going to undo that. I'm going to cut that part to where it's nice and clean and flat, and I'm going to cover it with this black industrial Velcro on top, and on the bottom probably some of this black carpeting I got from the dollar store with some adhesive, and then we should be looking good. And well, let's get on this project and see if we can make this whole thing look and function a whole lot prettier. Okay, so I used my straight edge here and a magic marker, and I drew a line. It's a line, so I'm going to cut that off right there, and I'll have a nice flat board to work with. And I think my tool is going to be that yellow-handed. I could use the hacksaw for a finer cut, but for this material, I'm thinking that yellow saw right there with the yellow handle is probably going to be the better call. And I can always, come back and use a file and clean up the edges a little better, but it's not really going to matter because it's going to be covered with material, and then I'll come back and I'll make sure to color the edges black and all that stuff. So you're not going to see the red, so the complete cleanliness of this cut isn't as important as the straightness of the cut. All right, here I go. Okay, so since this is a little hard, I can't hold it and film at the same time. What I've done is I just started a groove along that line. Instead of cutting down like that and across, I'm just coming straight across like that. And I've built a groove. I'm taking my time and just working the groove nice and slow. Okay, so now I've got that edge cut off. It's a little rough. Took my time, and then when it got to a good point, I just kind of bent and snapped it off, but I needed to make sure it was real there. So now I'm going to just come back here, just because I like things to be nice and clean. I'm going to bring my file over here and just kind of clean up that edge there. Well, now that I have my edge nice and smooth, and don't really need to do any better than that, just get the burrs off of it. I want this Velcro to stick well to it, and the instructions say that you want to let it cure for 15 minutes, if I can get that to focus there. 15 minutes. You get the idea, the little clock down there. So I want it to stick good because we get a lot of heat here in Middle Tennessee, and especially in the summertime, and I do a lot of barn weddings, things without air conditioning. So the adhesive is going to take some punishment here, and I want it to stick. And I didn't buy a tube of like super adhesive, because I am trying to save some money. But what I'm going to do here, because this is kind of slick and plasticky, and that gives me concern. So I'm going to take this sandpaper here, and I'm going to rough up the surface. I'm going to rough it up all over the place on both sides, and then I'm going to clean it off. And then I am going to then come back and clean it again with some rubbing alcohol to make sure I get, you know, super duper clean. Let it dry. Then I'm going to put this Velcro on, and I'm going to apply weight to it so that I can get it to apply as firmly as possible. And then I'm going to go away for a few hours actually, and let it just sit there under some weight. I'll probably stick a toolbox on top of it or something, and just let the adhesive cure and bond. And then I'll be back. So first, let's hit it with this sandpaper. And if your child labor laws are as loose as Tennessee, you could just capture a young child to do your work for you. This is Evan. Evan, do you like sanding?
No.
Do it anyway.
Makes me cold.
Makes you cold?
Because like scratching sounds make me cold.
Well, you're doing a good job. Show the other side that you already finished. See, this side's all scratched up, all ready to go.
I didn't finish it.
Oh!
My dad did.
Ah! Okay, we'll finish that up, and then we'll continue on here. Thank you, Evan. And now that the sanding is complete, I'm gonna get all the plastic dust off of it with this rag there, then come back and I will clean it up with some isopropyl alcohol to get it super duper clean. And here's the isopropyl or rubbing alcohol. We'll just pour a tiny bit there. And I'll work it in all over the board with the rag. So this looks like about all I'm really wanting to put on the top here. I'll clean the muck off that. That's what plugs in. Your XLRs plug in there, and then those plug into the receivers. So I'll clean those up, maybe with some Goo Gone, and I'm going to Velcro all that down. That's going to be about all there is to go on the top. Now to mount it, I'm going to have to drill a hole here in the middle, but I don't think that'll be a problem. So yeah, I'm going to clean that up with some Goo Gone and stuff, and I'll mount that. And I think every other component will be have to be mounted on the underside of that, but that'll be all right. All right. All right, kiddies. I went ahead and put the industrial strength Velcro on the bottom of here, and I realized in order to line it up properly so I can protect that, I need to set it in far enough, you know, so that, you know, that's not peeking over, and it'll do it. But I've got to mount pretty much everything else on the bottom in order to pull this off. But ran into a problem though. Okay, so on this is the soft side of the Velcro that came with the package of industrial strength Velcro. Okay, it holds. I guess it holds okay, but not very well. But see how kind of loose that is? That's not what I expect when I'm buying industrial strength Velcro. And the problem isn't the hard side, the problem's that side. But I tested it over here on this carpet I bought from the dollar store, and it holds on really super strong. I really don't want to peel all that up. So I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy some adhesive, and I'm going to glue it down on this carpet. I guess because it's fibrous, it'll stick to that better. Just a pain in my butt, but it looks like I'm going to do it. I'm going to have to go buy some adhesive, and I'm going to stick this stuff to it. So looks like I'm at a stopping point. I'll go ahead and put the Velcro on the bottom of this other receiver right here, and then I'll just grab some adhesive while I'm out and about today. Sucks. Velcro, I'm very disappointed in you. I've always had a great experience with industrial strength Velcro, but now I'm kind of PO'd. Oh, so goes life. Yeah, so because that stuff is junk, the Velcro soft side was complete junk, I went ahead and cut a swath of that, and I'll cut another one, but I went ahead and pulled it off here because I want it to be I want this to be as thin as possible. Thin and lightweight is important. And maybe I'll hit the edges here with some more spray paint before I tack that down. But yeah, I'm going to get some adhesive. Cut another square of that, get some adhesive, and come get back to work. And as long as I'm at it, I went ahead and I hit the edges with some more spray paint. I held it with that. Went around the edges there and just kind of hit those so that when I get the new carpet on, it will be nice. And no red should be showing. Now just let that sit there and dry. Got my 2 swaths here, and I'm going to go buy some adhesive. Yay! Alright, so I hit the hardware store. I was looking for a different kind of sealant, but they didn't have the kind I use on most of my other projects. But they did have this construction adhesive, Loctite, super strong, usually used on like wood and concrete and brick and stuff like that. But I figured it ought to work on this. That's porous material, that's non-porous, but it's got a few pointers here. I'm quite sure it'll stick. It does caution really strongly against letting it come in contact with your skin, so maybe I'll heed that, and I'm going to use a putty knife and apply it onto the board, and then put my carpeting down, and I'll just do that on both sides and put a brick on it. But it's Sunday night, I'm done for the day, and my putty knife's on the back porch being used for another project, so I will just pick this up tomorrow. That is much, much better. Look at that, nice and solid. So now that these are securely mounted and in place, I need to work on the bottom side and get everything properly mounted there. But I don't really want to take these off. So what I did is I grabbed a chunk of foam, and I'm just going to put that face down on there, and I'm going to work on the bottom side. Get everything situated and then mounted into place right there. Oh, but before I do that, I should probably get this mounted. This is how it's going to go on top of a mic stand. And it is getting kind of worn out, so I might replace it pretty soon, but right now it still grabs, it still works, and I'm going to put a quick release on there as well. I just haven't ordered it yet, but this will get me going for right now. So the trick to drilling a hole is to get a drill bit just slightly larger than the thing you're going to put through it. And that looks about right. So we'll do that. This good drill bit, and my trusty little drill that I've had for years. The batteries don't last long, but I generally don't do enough to where I need them to last super long. So let's do this. And the mount is mounted. That'll just screw right onto the top of anything threaded like a microphone stand. So there you go. Just spin it right on for right now, and then when I get the quick release, I won't need to. And here's the top of it, the washer, and the bolt sitting right through. Now I'm not really worried about that working itself loose, because this carpet, this industrial carpet, is providing pushback against that. And if you don't know how a lock washer works, a lock washer looks like this. It's got that, and so when you tighten it down, it pushes back, and that prevents it from unthreading itself because it puts pressure against the nut and the threads. So, which is what we have here naturally from these 2 layers of carpeting are just pushing back against that thread really nicely, actually. And so that's on there really good, and that's going to be nice and secure. I could probably mount it right now, but I've got more work to do. So let's flip it over onto this piece of foam right here on the workbench and figure the rest of this project out and get it done. Well, here's kind of the layout I'm thinking about right now. As the power has to plug in somewhere, I'm not completely sure how I'm doing that. But I want all this stuff mounted on the bottom. So you got your 2 microphone outputs right here, XLR. The 2 power boxes are going to be here. I'm going to put some foam. I'm going to cut it to form to the contours of these power supplies for the receivers, because see that little curve in there? That way to get them flush and flat so they'll sit, nice and even on there. And it's all going to have to wait until I get in the receptacle that I'm going to use to bring power into it and then distribute it out to here to see how that lays and how it sits before I start tacking things down. Because, well, I found kind of what I was looking for at my local hardware store downtown, Holden's Hardware. And the only problem is it's green, but it's a dark green. So it's kind of already got a rough surface. So I'll rough that up a little bit more, and then I'll hit it with some spray paint and make it black. But I got to mask off the leads and make sure paint doesn't get down in the holes and things like that. But I think this is going to do just fine. I'll get it out here, and I believe I can do something, mount it kind of just like that. And if I do that, then I'll have to play with this a little bit and get the configuration just right, but it is what it is. So I guess I'm going to play with this a little bit. Maybe I'll have to take it out of the back. Might be the better idea. Take it out of the back. The power supplies plug into the sides. See, I'm doing this live, folks. Live. The power packs will plug into the sides like that. Then these guys will be up here in front, my mic cables. So unfortunately, that means I'll have coming from both directions there. But it's not the worst thing in the world. I'm going to play with it a little bit, see what I come up with. Oh no, something I did not think of. The receptacles are straight up and down, which means that these, I want them to lay sideways so they'll be more flush instead of sticking, jutting up, because they're still gonna have the cables coming out of them. So it looks like the only way I can accomplish that is if I stick this bad boy in the back like that, and then I take these and go side to side like that and sort of lay it out like that. It looks kind of messy right now, but you might be able to get the idea of what it looks like I'm going to have to do. Yeah, I'll have to clean that up with some Goo Gone, and that'll be my next purchase to get it tacked down. And then I've got to turn these things black. I can't really find little short black ones like that, those little jumpers, but I'm glad I have them, and I guess I'll wrap them, or they'll be covered with, with Velcro or something. I'll figure it out, but that appears to be my challenge right now. So there we go. So I guess since I know that now that I have to mount it that way, I'll get these in the center. I'll put a little foam right there in the thing to make that level, and then I'll get these tacked down in the front here, nice and tight, and then I'll take it from there. So that appears to be what I'm working with, and I'm going to do everything I can to make this clean and nice. So about to hit this thing with some black spray paint. I don't have very much left. I went ahead and plugged all the holes there with cardboard so that I wouldn't spray paint any of the leads. That is the only reason that's there, is to plug over the plug so I won't spray paint the connections. So anyway, here we go, and if I don't have enough to do this, then I'll just run to Walmart and get some more cheap flat black spray paint. And here we go. This apparatus is black. It's blacker than black. I'm going to go hang that up somewhere and let that dry for several hours, and then I shall proceed. And just going to let it hang right there until it's dry. This is not going to be part of it. It's just there to help me out. So while I'm waiting for that to dry, these things are going to be sitting sideways on their sides. I have got to make something to make these level. Because they're like that, I've got to level that out. And then it's also like that. So I'm going to take this piece of foam and I'm going to cut it to fill in the low spots right there. And I'm going to adhere it to the side of each one so that it can mount flushly on that board. Okay, so cutting this foam, I've cut it to fit in there, but as you can see, it's far too fat. Fits in there, but it's far too fat, so I drew a line around it, and I'm going to cut that. When I cut that, I will use my handy Dremel tool here and see how that does as far as helping me really shape this properly. And then I'll just do a little shaping and things like that, and just get it as flush as I can, and then I will glue it together. Oh yeah, the Dremel tool was the best idea I've had in a long time. It just went right through that like butter. Now unfortunately the cutting wheel isn't long enough to get all the way through that I need it to, so I'll just stick some scissors in there and finish it up the rest of the way. But yeah, and I'll just trim down the other one of these, and I can flip that, and it should be a perfect reverse on the other one. And I do believe that's going to get the job done right there. Okay, now to make one more just like that and glue these puppies together so I can get some Velcro on there. And there we go. Got our couple pieces of foam cut. Thank you, Dremel tool. Actually, that's a Wen tool, Dremel knockoff, but it works just as good. Takes Dremel attachments. And I'm ready to go ahead and put some of this construction adhesive down. But first, I am going to rough up the surface a little bit with that sandpaper. That way, I'm sure the construction adhesive will hold it just fine, but, you know, while I got it here, why not just do the job right? As right as I can, a guy like me. It's taking shape quite nicely. I'm not really sure how good you can see that. I've gone ahead and attached foam onto this because I had noticed when it's plugged in, it's leaving too much of a gap and it's rocking back and forth, even though this is on there very securely. Putting foam on there, and I'm going to also, once that cures, I'll put some Velcro on there as well, and then those will tack down, and then cables will kind of run under a little gap right there. It's nice. So now I think I'm going to get on figuring out how to tack these guys down, where it's all going to plug, where the XLR is going to plug in, and these guys are going to come forward just like that. And I have to make sure that the little clips are right there so that they can be accessed easily. I guess it doesn't really matter too much, but yeah, there we go. I'm gonna clean those up a little bit and tack them down. Okay, so now I've got Velcro attached to my XLR inputs. I'm gonna let that all cure overnight. I've got the Velcro on there. That's going to cure overnight. I just with the adhesive. And these are some foam pieces for there so that it's nice and level on that base when it plugs in. I'm going to put the industrial strength Velcro on here after that cures, but that'll be tomorrow. And then I'll wrap it again with the rubber band and let it sit and cure on there extra good. So right now, and then I think that's going to do it, and I'll be ready to wire this thing up. It's pretty much going to be ready to go. Oh yes, how I'm going to attach it to a microphone stand. See that right there? Except I don't want to be twirling this thing around on there, so what I got instead is this right here. I just ordered it off Amazon. It's like 12 bucks. It is a quick release for a mic stand, and what I do is I attach these onto a gooseneck that sits in my mixer case. The gooseneck comes up and it ties to the mixer case to keep it solid, to keep it from flopping around. and then that goes on top of it. My old one did too, but I'm just making it cleaner and slicker, and so now instead of having to twist it on and twist it off, I'll have this quick release right here, and we'll show you more how that works here in a minute. But I'm going to go ahead and get this out of the package, and this part will screw into there, and then that goes on to the end of the gooseneck right there. So here we go. And see, that's how I do it right there. This is my mixer case right there. It stays right in there. And then I got this gooseneck that comes up right there, and that is where my microphone receivers will go, attached right to there. And it's all ready to go, but I can't hoist it up there right now because I've got glue curing. So we'll come back to this project tomorrow, and I think we're about to wrap this thing up, and I'll show you how it all snaps together. And by the way, this is my case right here, and I got this little gooseneck right here for putting a microphone, and that goes right there. I just screw that one right on there. So that's how I roll. See you tomorrow. I've got my XLRs. They're on there nice with the industrial strength Velcro. We'll see how that does. If I need to, I'll just come and glue a piece of foam to the bottom and make it level and give it a better contact. But for right now, industrial strength Velcro, those are on there. I don't think they're going anywhere. We'll see. And as for these guys, I just took these are the foams on there real good. I'm going to put Velcro on there, and I'm going to go ahead and stick them into place right now and route my cables and stick a fork in this project. Alright, so there we go. I've got everything Velcroed into place, tacked down. That's the underside of it right there. I will make improvements in the future. I don't like this stuff sticking out. It's all I could do right now, but when I get some adapters that'll just go straight into here, and they'll go straight back and plug in, and plus I'll get shorter cords for everything. All this will be replaced with things that have much shorter cabling, so I'll be able to clean that up some. But for right now, there it is, and it's got the quick release on it, and let's see. There we go. Everything's all wired in. You go and put it on my mixer case and see how it do. Boom. It's there. Here we go. Put my antennae up. Whoop. Put my antenna up. I don't like the receivers being that close, but I need to be compact. And that's what I'm working with. And there we go. Here, let's take this away, get a nice presentation here. And there it is. What do you guys think? I'm liking it. I think it looks good. All right. And of course, come here to the back. It'll plug in, right there. The power will just tap right in there. And there we go. I'm calling it success. And I'll use it at a gig tomorrow, and I'll post a little footage of that at the end of this to wrap it all up with, and you can see it in action. Stay dandy. Guys, here is my completed, whatever you want to call it, for my microphones, my microphone receivers, and there's the finished product, live in action here. And I think it turned out pretty good. I'd like to see those cables up a little tighter, and I'll work on that. But for right now, I think it's rocking. Looks good. I'm calling it a dandy success. Stay dandy, everyone.